we're doing a pursuit drill and I'm jogging to the football and my brain measures the ground, a couple millimeters farther than it actually is. My leg locks out, snap my ACL.
Hey, welcome back to the Dark Work Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Trucks. Today's guest is a current, we'll call it playmaker, his own words, for the Tennessee Titans. His name is JoJo Domann. Now, I've known JoJo since he was a younger guy. It's beautiful to watch the humanity he has blossom into becoming a more mature human than even I was at his age. And the cool thing is we all have lessons we can extract from people. And although a person may be younger and experienced, you'd be surprised the experiences you don't know they've had. He has had a depth of experience, some that individuals will go a lifetime never having experienced. But here's the cool thing. With an experience, you can have it take place and never learn from it. He's extracted more wisdom from these experiences than people double his age. And as he gives them back to us today in the episode, you're gonna hear some amazing takeaways. One of the ones that stood with me, which I'm gonna stick even deeper, called, is that light enters through the wounds. And if you let that settle in, like it's a truth, man, it's the things that we have as hardships that provide more insights to what we can see, but only if you let that light in. So as you go through the discussion today and you actually listen and tune in, first off, open your head and then open your heart, because this is not your typical football player. You're going to be excited when you get done with this discussion, because you're going to have actual things you can take away and apply to your life, or at least a new frame of mind to step forward into to be able to let more new things in. So without further ado, let's hop into the episode. Hey, welcome back to the Dark Work Podcast, where we get to unpack cool stories from cool people. We are now here with the man we call JoJo. We're going to talk a little bit more why I said it that way. I've known you since you were a little guy, man. Like back in the day, running around camps and stuff when I was in the NFL. Now this man is in the NFL playing with the Tennessee Titans. And we're going to have a good conversation. Here's why. The journey he has gone through as a human, right? I've got to see little snippets of it here and there. I get to see him once a year at minimum when I go out to the camp that him and his parents put on. But it's a beautiful progression of humanity that is happening at a pace well beyond the majority of humans. What I mean by that is I know people that are probably double his age who have half the mental acuity and half the growth of a human as he has. So I'm excited to see your actual life unfold, to be quite honest. So I'm excited also for the podcast we're going to unpack today. But we're going to just roll into this thing. So without further ado, let's do this bad boy.
Let's go.
So here's the thing I want to know. And I want you to share with us, right? Because I think people need to know why you're a person they should listen to. You might have some people going like, he's just a football player, right? I had that mentality. But the truth is, you've walked through parts of life that people will never in their lifetime get to experience. You're walking in it right now, right? Where do you look at, and when you pause and like have those moments of like, holy crap, this is my life, what are some things you can talk to where you're proud of what you've accomplished?
Yeah, I'm just honestly proud of being here and not self-destructing up to this point in my life.
Yeah.
I've been blessed with an amazing family, a support system, parents that supported my dreams, and siblings I could also chase those dreams with. And I think just being that as my foundation has allowed me to really ask questions and open up and delve into different aspects of my life and really question my humanity and what it means to be having a human experience and why I'm here and what I want to do with it.
Yeah, right. That's something most people don't do, especially when they're playing in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing, because then you're able to do it in the highest, we'll call it most, high stakes situation. But at the same time, you get to be able to pay attention to it. I know for me, like it flew by. Like I was in and I was like, I'm after this. I'm in a whole new world trying to figure things out. And it wasn't for a while that I actually kind of woke up. So what you're going through now to kind of figure humanity out is cool, but you're also doing it in a higher tempo than most people are, which I think is also awesome. When you do anchor to the family and everything, is there like a moment that stands out where like if you were to sit there and talk about it, you get tingles to it? Like was it like a game you played, or a moment when somebody said something, or something behind the scenes?
It was probably 2 seasons ago when I'm in my rookie year, and everything that I've ever dreamt of having, playing in the NFL, and now I'm in the NFL, and I'm not only in the NFL, but I'm playing and I'm making money. I'm on the 53. I'm making tackles on special teams.
Yeah.
And now I've gained everything I've ever dreamed of. And I hit this point where now all I could do was lose it. And my mindset was hyper fixated on now all I can do is lose this.
Yeah, don't lose it. Yeah.
And my performance reflected me living out of that fear, right?
Okay.
And that lack.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, I almost I got a tripping penalty because a 6'6" D end up and undered me at wing, and I stuck my foot out to trip them so that they didn't block it. Got a 5-yard penalty. We repunted it. It was fine, but it was in that moment that, like, you know, if I would have let that if that punt would have been blocked, instantly I go from a reliable guy to an unreliable guy. And it was by, you know, my shoestrings that I stopped him. I go home that bye week, and I energetically just like retire from football. I was just like, I need a break from this. And that led me to creating boundaries in a relationship that I needed to set boundaries in. And that led me to creating boundaries within myself with relationship with things that I needed to have boundaries with. I focused on my family, and I did yoga every day. And I went back, and that week of practice preparing for Minnesota, I just remember feeling that sense of freedom again, where that pressure all of a sudden just fell off, seemingly. And
was it because was there a lack of fear in terms of like what you could lose? Because where did that dissipate to? Because like that's pretty good yoga, you know. If all of a sudden they go
some good yoga.
Yeah. So what was the thing that took that out of the picture?
I think I was so apprehensive of setting boundaries within myself and with people in my life because I was fearful of losing them, and I was fearful of the unknown, of who I am and what life is without them or without this thing in my life. And once I just like got to that tipping point of just like, you know, all or nothing, and I went all into the unknown, it sparked this sense of confidence and embodiment within me that then fear has no place.
Like you have the control to handle it.
Which then led to me playing in the first game after that bye week, and I'm watching my brother start quarterback in a bowl game. On my ESPN app, he's like a picture of him is my loading screen. As I'm putting on my shoes, socks, all my gear, I'm watching my brother play. So I connected to this like deeper sense of meaning. And I think when we're not connected to a deep sense of meaning, we end up chasing pleasure, which is the cycle that I was in.
Gotcha.
And then circling back to, okay, what is the meaning of all this? Right now my heart's into it. Now I'm leading with my heart and my mind's following. And in that game, we call a block on the first punt of the game. And I get lined up, and everything just started slowing down. The crowd got quiet. Everything just started to phase out, and then it was just me and that voice inside my head. I was like, okay, and everything was just so clear. We have a block called. I'm not blocking the punt, but if we do block the punt, I could be the one to pick it up. And then the course of action was, okay, don't get too engaged with my guy. Find and locate the ball and make a play. Lo and behold, my buddy gets a hand on the ball, blocks the punt. I disengage with my guy. And the last thought that went through my head was, it's really happening. And just absolutely blacked out. Found the ball, just played football, caught it, and ran 22 yards to an end zone. And it was just in that moment that I felt like everything made sense. Because I got out of my own way. I was connected and leading from my heart. And then I was present, and everything was so clear. And then it actually happened in real time and came to fruition. And if you would have told little JoJo at 7 years old that he was going to score an NFL touchdown, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Well, it's crazy because really what I'm hearing is you disengage with the part of you that would have held you back, which essentially is the apprehension of fear.
Yes.
Because that was already in you here. Like we were saying, is like it wasn't something you went and found and created in that one. It was already there, but probably a lot of people have it there as well. But it's covered up by the fear, apprehension, what could go wrong. It's funny, I hear these things like athletics, and I think it's a great microcosm of the world, right? Sports, there's so much here that is the world. My oldest son runs track, and I talk to him about like what to do when you're about to go race, and a lot of the things I talk to, I go, you can't have in your head what could go wrong. Sounds weird, but I go, if it's a possibility. You could hit a hurdle, right? Because he knows hurdles. And I go, but your mind's a creation tool. Like literally the fact that we're sitting in this crazy thing here, right? Someone's mind thought of this, and they go, let me make that.
Yes.
And so what we think is just this thing, it's like, no, son, if you have that in there, your mind will create what it's fixated on. And so what I'm hearing is you chose to fixate not on the fear and the apprehension. You set boundaries, said, I got this. Focus on that. And oddly enough, right, we'll say it, magically, things happen positively, but it's never magic and it's never just accidental.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, it's actually, I think, that the things we all have inside of us. What do you think was, because if that moment was the moment that things moved, which I think I'm hearing like a piece of it, did that get reapplied somewhere else? Did you leave that setting and go touchdown? Like, did you go in and go, I can do that more and more? Did that become a center point of how you started like anchoring to yourself to like show up more?
Yes, it created just like the foundation and like the algorithm almost of like how I desire to create and what is really possible if I really align myself with what I desire, that I can create it in an instant.
Did that get challenged ever? Because there got to be moments in time like, okay, have that, because it's a long season, you know?
Yeah.
Did you ever have, like, what was the moment after that where, like, maybe you went back to questioning? Maybe you didn't get, like, have fear seep back in. It's got to be something like, I know I used to have practices. Amazing, right? And the next week it's like, Trucks, you suck.
Right.
Like, dude, you know?
Well, the next week it's like, well, how do I have a better game than the one I just had?
Exactly.
And I think that comes from just, like, surrendering expectations and just being present for what is.
Yeah.
I didn't have expectations that I was going to score a touchdown and then it happened. No, I just aligned myself with that possibility and saw it before it happened, and then it happened, but I didn't expect it to happen. So then going into the next week, I remember the challenge was to eliminate the expectation and just show up for myself in the same way and allow what happens to happen. And I ended up having 2 tackles. No touchdown, but it just
keep moving.
It kept moving.
And usually I try to figure out what was the plan, what was you're winging it, right? Because sometimes we just do things. It sounds like the plan was no plan almost.
Yeah, that's
right?
how I roll.
To disconnect it. So this is actually years ago. I wrote this one like weird little article, and it had, you know, the power clean, right?
Yeah.
Anybody's ever power clean before? You guys may understand this. If you haven't, go look it up. But what happens when you go to catch a power clean, you don't hold all that 300, 400 pounds in your hand. In fact, it rests on the shelf of like your neck. And so what happens is when you grab that bar, when you want to hold on to it, the weight gets too heavy when you have too much grip. And sometimes releasing it, just to let it go to your fingertips, puts it in the place it's supposed to be held.
Right.
You could hold more if you just let go a little bit. And so what I'm hearing is kind of like what I ache into that of, like, to carry the heavy weight, sometimes you got to just relax the tight grip on it all and let it go where it's supposed to go and you can handle it better.
Absolutely.
Weird little way of looking at it. It makes sense, though.
That does. I follow. I get up and do one right now.
Yeah, I got bad wrists. I can't do it anymore. So you got to go. Yeah, you got to do it. There you go. Oh, the camera people love that one. There you go. So we got this mentality of like, all right, I'm flying into work. I'm doing my thing, right? In a sense of like doing my job, flying around, getting things done. When you get to the point of moving through things, was the journey always smooth at that point? Because I know we're talking about these great things, and I think there's a lot of people that are naively out there going like, oh, NFL player, man, everything's great. Making money on the squad, doing his thing, right? But there's a lot of tension and pressure behind the scenes. What was that journey like for you, like navigating these ups and these downs? And also sometimes it's like people want your job, which means they ain't cool with you all the time, right? How did you navigate those kind of dealings?
Just over like the long span of my career?
Yeah.
Shoot. That is a very dynamic question. I would say, I guess when, everything in high school was, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
I'm the superhero out there. Like, I put on my cape, I walk out on that field, and whatever I touch turns to gold. And then I go to Nebraska, and at my graduation party, people are like, you gonna play? You gonna redshirt? Like, what's your deal? I'm like, I'm gonna redshirt. Like, I wanted to play it safe. Like, I was content with the reputation I had as the guy.
Yeah.
And to play as a true freshman, put that in jeopardy. So, like, I'm cool. I get to campus, and they got me playing.
Already.
So I'm at 19 playing against these 25-year-olds, honestly getting my ass worked.
Yeah.
Catching their second string linebacker running down on kickoff, and I'm at 215 pounds just getting run over. And it made me question everything about, do I have what this takes? And then the following spring, during spring ball, we're doing a pursuit drill, and I'm jogging to the football, and my brain measures the ground, a couple millimeters farther than it actually is. My leg locks out, snap my ACL.
Yeah.
7 months later, I'm cleared for everything, just at 70%. You tell a 20-year-old you can do
70.
everything at 70%.
Yeah, you're going 110.
I was going 100, and I ended up blowing out my knee again. And it was during that dark phase of my life where I had to ask myself, who am I without football for the first time in my life?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was like the tipping point of not everything was just good all of a sudden after that, but I all of a sudden had this like purpose to pursue from the inside out rather than this validation to pursue from the outside in. And it gave me purpose, and it showed me where my fulfillment and my peace and my love lies within my experience, rather than it being all externally motivated and validated through. Like, this tells me more about me than I tell me about me.
Yeah, it happens.
And it was in that situation where I was like, wait, what is this thing inside of me that's always happening my entire life, that all of a sudden got here and all of a sudden will be gone, but like what I do with it is who I am.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Well, here's the thing, it makes complete sense to me now.
Yeah.
If you'd have talked to me about this like 15 years ago, I'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? You know,
Right.
like it's a hard thing to actually grasp, because people go, oh, you're lofty, you're talking outside the box of it. It's like, that's where life's typically lived. Those who are happier, they're more peaceful, more centered. That's essentially the mentality they have, is you do go inside. Because when you outsource your identity or your joy to something away from you that you have no control over, you're at the whim of what that thing is.
Exactly.
Right. And so like when you question that, and football was gone, I didn't have that happen until I was, out of the NFL, and I'm like, shoot, who am I without this? But you had it in college. For a lot of folks, they do go down. And you began this by saying, I'm glad I didn't self-destruct.
That's how it started, right?
So what kept you from self-destructing in that moment?
Whew. Right, which brings me to the light of my life, which is my relationships. If it wasn't for the reflection of myself and the people that I love, like, it didn't feel like this life was worth living, that all the suffering, hardship, and pain that we endure was worth it over and over and over again. But it was actually in the eyes of the people that I love most that we can empathize and relate through adversity, through hardships, and then still connect to something greater than ourselves through it all. Like that's what life's all about, and that's what I pursue within my experience, is like this deeper sense of connection within myself, and hence with everyone and everything in my reality.
I get it. I'm at the same point now. I call it season of dad. Like I'm in a space where like I just want to be I want to be home, right?
Right.
I'm here with you. I'm not at my home area, right? But I like to be home. Like, and it's a weird thing. People go, but don't you want to be on a stage and go do your thing? You could be doing this. And I go, yeah, but those people like me. They don't love me. And there is a separation between the two. And if I'm not liked by those who I love, it's a whole separate feeling. And if I'm gone all day to get the likes from somebody else, seeking love I'll never get, I never have the love. I'm kind of liked, but never genuinely loved. And we did talk about, in the beginning before we started, which this is kind of seeding to a thought to me, is you've gone through these transitions we're hearing, these kind of shifts. Now, the dark work we talk about is actually to make an identity shift. That's a big piece of the work I do. It's what you do in the dark that becomes who you are, so you step into the light sometime later on. You aren't the same human, in a good way. Sometimes a bad way, unfortunately. But you talked about your name. I've only known you to be JoJo. I didn't know your name was Johansson until like 48 hours ago. Just so we're clear.
Okay.
Because Craig was like, yeah, Johansson. I'm like, who's that? He's
Right.
like, oh, it's JoJo. And you mentioned something about I switched this on and switched that off. When did that well, first off, talk to that if you wouldn't mind. And then when did that kind of thought kind of creep in as like, I have this identity that I play when I have to go do that thing?
Yeah, so, I mean, when I was, I think, 7 and I started playing organized sports, Johansson was just too long, so my mom made up a song that she would sing me before bed.
Okay.
It was like JoJo Hansen.
Ah.
And JoJo just stuck.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
so I've been JoJo my entire life. And JoJo is this ambitious, competitive, just like strong-willed competitor that will do anything it takes to win, or to get what he wants. And he's very validated and achievement-oriented from the outside in. And that was who I was. That was my experience for a lot of my life. It wasn't until I kind of started sharing about my time, my injuries at Nebraska, that made me question my makeup and everything that I am and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I think it actually came through like the comfort and the safety of my mom and my sister, who would very rarely at that point in time like call me Johansson. But I remember one day it just came out, and like the JoJo that would respond just like wasn't present. and it was this like more soft, vulnerable, compassionate, humanitarian, accepting kind of part of myself that just kind of came through. And it was almost like the first time that I felt like true peace within myself. So then I just started associating that peace with just this like other part of me. Like both are part of me, but now from where am I operating from?
Yeah.
And if I'm operating as Johansson out on that football field, I might not reach like the level of intensity that needs to be met to perform. But if I'm still operating out of this like kill or be killed, fight or flight mentality, when I go home and I'm sitting with myself and I need to rest and recovery and I need to tune into myself or show up for myself in certain ways, you know, that JoJo didn't have the capacity to show up for Johansson.
Gotcha.
In that way. So I think it's just like a unique way that I compartmentalize my experience and I've gotten to know the different aspects of myself and just seeing the range of my experience. Like I'm allowed to be rageful.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be rageful, angry, and dangerous. And I'm also allowed to be sensitive, vulnerable, and secure. And just having the acceptance within myself to be able to hold both ends of the spectrum right here.
Yeah, and know when they can be deployed, when they shouldn't be deployed. That's an interesting thing, I think, but everybody doesn't have a connection to those two. Some people don't have a connection to rage or control. There's no relationship there, so they don't tap into it because there's fear of what they could be. It's kind of like, I recently had a conversation with somebody who said, like the Hulk. Somebody asked the Hulk, or it was like, you know, one of the, I think might be the first Avengers. He goes, you know, how do you just know when to get angry? He goes, the secret is I'm always angry. You know, so essentially he's always got that under there, but he knows when to tap into it when it's necessary to obviously transform, which is an interesting thing because we all have that, but some of us don't ever acknowledge it or tap into it. We're fearful of it. Or on the other side of the spectrum, you're right. There's some people that go, I'm this hard-nosed, gritty human. I can't be that because from that, it's going to take from that. And it's like, no, that is all aspects of your humanity. So you got to embrace those. To have control of them is a beautiful thing. It's better to be, I think Peterson says, it's better to be a gardener in a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
To have that there, right? It's like it's kind of a beautiful way of looking at it. We're going to take a real quick break to get a word from our sponsors. We're going to come back and dive deeper into JoJo's and Johansson's conversation. We'll be right back.
Where are you falling short of your full potential in life, and what is it costing you? See, one thing we rarely measure is the cost of our inaction. See, there's so many things set for your life that if you don't lean in and get them done, they're going to pass you by. And the truth is, it's not because you don't know what to do. It's because you are not at the level to do it. You cannot attain or sustain a vision for your life above your current identity. But what is your current identity? What should you do to make a shift in that identity? Well, the goal is you have to do the dark work, but the right dark work. To figure out where your identity is now and what dark work you must do, go to darkworkassessment.com, take the assessment, and let it clear the path for you so you can find out how to shift into your dominator's identity with a mentality of, I have done too much work in the dark to lose in the light. darkworkassessment.com, figure out where you're at. Let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're back. We're going to get right back into this conversation. And so we were talking really briefly, momentarily, about the idea of these different sides of self. And you had a thought that you wanted to expand upon. And I paused so you could hear the thought.
Yeah, it was basically just that, in my experience, that what I fear and what I desire most in this life are the same thing, which is simply just to feel fully, fully feel, fully receive and feel like the love from my mother, to be present in where my feet are. And I have recognized all the way, not all the ways, but a lot of the ways in which that I don't allow myself to fully feel because of what you were saying. At some point, I don't allow myself to be rageful or angry or dangerous because at some point those emotions hurt me, which then created this block to protect myself, to not allow myself to feel those. But in reality, we're just suppressing a part of ourselves. And if the energy can't go here, that needs to go here, it's going to go somewhere else. And just on this journey of, you know, being a integrated man in all my emotions, I've found how important all aspects of self and like having a seat at the table for every part of me, and them all having an equal voice, and not relying on what I feel most comfortable in or safest in. And those are the voices at the table. Versus I'm learning how to give every part of myself a voice so we can have a dialogue and then connect to my higher purpose or intention and what I want to create.
Yeah, whoever you're supposed to be in time, right?
Tight.
Isn't it crazy? It's like a never-ending cycle, but you never know when it's ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, or like, not that it's ending in a sense, and never know where it's supposed to go. I find that there's this crazy thing we're doing, which is life, and there's all these dynamics to it. And I always tell people I don't want to leave this planet not having done what I was supposed to do. But I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm supposed to be to have that happen. So I just got to go with the feeling, which is what you're talking about. And if I don't tap into those feelings, I'm stymieing a part of me that's supposed to be open to go do the thing I'm supposed to do. So it's like this weird free flow. But then I think part of it also I notice, and maybe you can speak to this, is we run an environment where not everybody's your mom or your sister or your dad or your brother who are accepting humans. Sometimes you're becoming you, and it's really hard to step in and just be you in a world where everybody wants to shove you back in the box because either they're uncomfortable with it or you become a mirror to what they're not able to do.
Boom. Yeah, I think we're all mirrors. And what we ultimately neglect or suppress within ourselves, we will naturally neglect, reflect, and judge in other people.
Yep. It's big. I had
Yeah.
It's funny. When I was in high school football, I was doing my thing. I was killing it. You know, I was like, I was about to go to college. You know, I had a scholarship offer, and I had one of the coaches on my team who afterwards he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna have you stay and do roles." I go, "Why am I doing roles?" He goes, "I need to take your ego down a size." So I go, that's crazy. So I'm not doing bear crawls and rolls for 100 yards. You're going to do them. So I'm like battling with this assistant coach. Head coach walks up. What's going on? I go, oh, well, he wants me to roll, and I'm not going to do it. He goes, he needs to. He goes, why? Because he's got too much of an ego. He's just too hot-headed. He just thinks he's the greatest. My coach goes, get out of here, like the head coach. I have no idea what happened. But in hindsight, I go, that guy, there's no reason. I wasn't disrespectful to my teammates. I was going to hit you if you weren't going fast enough. I was going to make you better because I realized that if you were better, our team could win games. But I wasn't going to back down, and I wasn't going to take the standard down for me or for my teammates. And this was a guy that saw that and was uncomfortable with the fact that I was moving at a higher level. Now, his level of whatever, sports was at a lower level college. I went to the NFL. If I had let him do that to me, he would have chopped down part of me that needed to be there to go to the higher level.
Right.
So sometimes we're going to be in areas where we have leadership, where people around us, that you're right. The mirror is something that they go, oh, I know I don't have that. Let me press that back down so I don't feel uncomfortable around it. And that's a dance you have to know how to handle, because I was 18 and I probably handled it not the best way by going back and forth. But as a grown man, I could know how to hold my ground and gracefully let them know, like, that's not going to fly right now, boss. And so, but that's a dance that I'm also anchored back to. I'm glad you're learning at kind of this age you're at now, which is well before you get to the super, super adult years. You're obviously an adult now. But what, as we cycle back to this thought, all these things we're talking to blossom out of moments of darkness.
Yes.
In my opinion, they blossom out of spaces that nobody saw, nobody was privy to. Is there a space you can talk to or can think of that was like your darkest hour? Not a rock bottom per se, but like when things were like dark and like kind of bleak that you had to lean back into to become who you are now.
Well, I love this quote that says, it's through the wound that the light enters. And I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah.
So even reflecting back on when I tore my ACL 2 times in 7 months, in that moment, it was like, woe is me. This is like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. The one thing that I love was taken away from me. My identity was shattered. God has forsaken me.
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? Turned into the greatest blessing in disguise I could have ever asked for, because it made me question my existence. It made me question God. It made me search for answers, and it created this internal drive that I was pursuing something from the inside out for the first time in my life, rather than outside in.
Yeah.
And so then to expand on that, that theme has carried itself throughout my whole career, which is just like the health of my body. And in football, you need your body as your vehicle. And I mean, football's a lot easier when you're the biggest, fastest, strongest.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the strongest. And so just having to battle and deal with just like the insecurities of that. Of like, here I am doing this thing I love, but at times I feel, inadequate for the job, or not good enough, or unworthy, and it creates all these emotions of, I can't do this. And it's through that doubt. It was through the doubt that I realized that I already know. I don't need doubt because I already know. And it's through that adversity that I believe the growth of who you really are can now come into fruition. We need the contrast in our life to create polarity, which then creates change, which is just energy and motion. And I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but
I'm getting it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, dog.
I don't know if it's like a specific.
It's like the juxtaposition of it all. It's the
juxtaposition
it's the
of it
awareness.
all.
It's like the fact that salt makes something more sweet. That salt exists, the sweet can taste sweeter.
Right.
So the idea too, like I was an undersized linebacker. So when I went to college, I had an opportunity to play receiver or to play like a linebacker. And I went in at $183 into college playing outside backer. And then even the NFL, my last college game, senior year, was 213 pounds in my last game.
Wow.
So like I was always a small guy, but I was fast, but I was strong for my size, but I was just tinier. And so people would be like, oh, you play cornerback? Like, nah, dog, what are you talking about? You know, it's just I was a smaller guy and I hid my weight, but I did the same insecurities and the doubt creeps in like, do coaches think that? Like, is that what my teammates think? Like, shit, am I not small enough? So I try to be big and play fast, and you just have to go headstrong into it, you know. Unfortunately, I had an injury, but like I think that as I look back at my years, I've told my sons this too. There was the last game I played. I didn't, it was my last game. It was a shoulder injury against the Philadelphia Eagles. But there was like 3 days leading up to it where I had this, like I've had a back issue for a little bit. And like I couldn't put my shoes on. Like I couldn't, because I couldn't get down and bend far enough, but I could like get into a linebacker stance, right? But getting down, it was horrible. And I remember a few days out, I called my agent, and I go, it was Domann, Craig. No, it was Craig Domann was also Drew Pittman.
Oh, that guy.
But
yeah.
it was, but at the same time, like I think I called Drew at the time, and I was like, Drew, man, what do I do? Because my back hurts. He's like, should I take some time off? He's like, I don't think you want to do that. You're a young guy fighting, like you can't do that. And I go, I don't know. And part of me, to be honest, the thought of like taking a practice off was like, oh, let's do that, you know? Like I submitted to it. And I went off and I got some, MRI done and they took a look, and it was a sprained interspinal ligament. It was nothing crazy. It was like a sprained ankle for your back, but it wasn't too bad. And I remember Coach Tom, when I got back to the lunchroom or the dinner room at that night, he's like, what happened? I go, I had a sprained interspinal ligament, no big deal, you know? And I think that was like the wrong thing to say to the head coach, you know? And so fast forward a couple, days later, first preseason game, I actually do tear my shoulder. Before they even know I tear my shoulder, I get cut. And I played well in the game, right? But I go, I think that had something to do with it. And I go tell my boys all this stuff I'm telling you now to go, that moment where I saw the ease and I submitted to it, I think is one of the things I'll doubt and regret for the rest of my life. Because in that moment, had I not said that or had that time off, I probably could have fought through for a couple days, killed it, and then be like, oh, he's valuable. We can keep him. Even with a little bit of an injury, he'll get better. But when that seed got planted, because I opened the door,
Yep.
if like it led to something. Now, I may be completely wrong. This might have nothing to do with it, right? But at least it sits in me. But that little thought, it actually becomes something that drives me differently now. So like you said, like I can go and look at the polarity of it. That part of me goes, I'll never let that happen again. That saltiness makes these good things good, but also tells me what I don't want to taste again. And if I'm tracking in some of what you're saying, like that's part of what it is. The doubts, the things that go in our head, they will force us to act and feel in certain ways that are detrimental to the future, but we don't know that in the present sometimes.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy how it works out.
it is.
So when you look at those moments, I'm assuming that's what you think is, we'll say that dark time you went internal, not external, and it built up to what you'll be able to do now in your professional career and build on these things. In your overall life, where do you see the connections of those moments, maybe sans football, right? Just humanity. How has that helped you adapt differently as a human?
I see everything as my teacher, I would say, of like, you know how you go into the film room and they throw up the film and the thing you just did an hour and a half ago, you have a professional coach who's been doing this for half his life, telling you every little thing, this, that, footwork, this, eyes, what you could have done better. You made the play, but it could have been better.
Yep.
You didn't make the play,
it
could have been better.
Yeah.
And I think football has really, my relationship to football shifted into being more of like a life teacher. I look at football and it's a reflection of where I'm at with myself. And then that's translated to like every human and thing that I'm in relationship with, I look at as a teacher, like what can I learn from this person? Oh, I'm judging this person on the street because of something that is distasteful from my bias. Like what is that? What can I learn from that? Rather than staying in the judgment, because we naturally judge. It's what our brain does. It analyzes things, and we all have bias.
Always seeing it, yeah.
Right, but then it's like, how do we handle that? So whenever I'm learning how to, when I go into judgment, then flip it back on its head and say, what's the lesson here? And how is this a reflection of me? And what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Because it's through that deeper connection with everything I'm in a relationship with that then creates a more significant, fulfilling life for myself.
Yeah, I dig that, man.
And I'm just learning.
Right,
like,
you're just figuring it all out.
I'm really just trying to figure it out.
It's like the light bulbs came on in the room, right?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. My family, we function as an interesting unit, probably the same way yours does. Like, we care about humans deeply. We also find ourselves sitting at tables going like, what's she wearing, you know? And I don't like it. It's an honest thing, to be honest, we do this. But then we catch it and we go like, that's not the way to do it. We had this happen a few weeks back. We were walking down San Francisco somewhere, there's Tony's Pizza. And this lady who comes out of a restaurant, I don't know what she's wearing. It looked like she went to the store and decided to buy like the bags and put them on. It was just craziness. It was like all these colors. And she walks by, she goes, we're judging. I'm like, what's she wearing? She walks past and goes, what a beautiful family you guys are. Bro, my heart sunk to my feet.
Yeah.
I go, what am I doing? Like, and just like, I said, kids, that's why, like, I'm not perfect and 100% why I shouldn't have said what I said. Like, I got to let them know, but it's crazy. You start noticing, and it's just a bias. There's no reason to do it. It's weird, but then I don't think everybody catches it. I think some people just let it ride, and that's who they are, and then they're not very good humans to be around. So at least I can admit that I've done it, but also we can catch it and press forward in certain ways. One of the things that, go ahead.
To build on that, I stepped out with my brother last night. We went to like a fun little bar with pool and ping pong. And there was this guy on the ping pong table that was taken up the whole night who didn't get lost. And a guy came and grabbed me for whatever reason and was like, yo, can you beat this guy off the table? And basically made this guy across from me out to be a villain.
Yeah.
I believed it. I'm like, I play ping pong. Like, yeah, let me beat this dude off the table so you and your friends can have the table.
Yeah.
Like, I stepped up like proud and as this like, right, I'm wearing this cape, like I'm about to play hero.
Yeah.
This dude proceeds to beat me 21-6.
Just worked you, huh?
This dude's about a 60-year-old dude who didn't look like he'd showered in a week.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking I'm gonna go in there and just swipe him off the table. He absolutely humbles me. In the process, he goes, before we even start, he goes, $10. $10? I go, yeah, $10 and the table, buddy. Like, I'm gonna take the table from you.
Yeah.
Like, you won't be getting my money.
Yeah.
He beats me. He's adamant about me going to the ATM. He ends up walking me out to the ATM because he was dead on about his money.
Yep.
I asked him, how long you been playing ping pong? He goes, 6 months. I go, that's it? What were you doing before that? He goes, I was in a coma for the last year. He had basically like a heart attack that put him in a coma. And in that moment, I felt my awareness go from my head into my heart and just have empathy of like, wow, all of the judgment and the projections of who he was made out to be and then who I made him out to be, all just like disintegrated. And I just connected with his humanity and was like, wow, like this is it right here. Like this is the teacher.
Yeah.
I think
Crazy how it works like that.
Isn't it?
You give him $100 instead then?
Yeah. 200 actually.
There you go. Hell yeah. That's a good heart. Like I get the heart. I think that's part of a mature processing. Because for me, like I've had people wrong me, right? Or you've had different situations, but I find that now I'm able to in real time go, oh, I'm wrong. And because I'm wrong, what would I do if I was wrong and I was sorry? I would do this, and the ego doesn't get in the way and stop that anymore. Before I'd be like, I'm wrong, whatever, you don't, because you don't want to feel bad. The ego gets in the way to protect you. Whereas now that you can go like, you're wrong, bro. Hey, no, leave me over here. Just do what's right, press forward. And then, like you said before, we talked to the world as a mirror. And I find that not only does it reflect the negative, it can reflect the positive. And so you get to feel better. The world reflects better back to you. In some way, that guy's gonna go and do something great for somebody that me and you will never see because you did something great as well. And I think that's how the world needs to have more people operating and functioning, but we don't all do that because a lot of people are stuck in places that we're talking to now that we haven't actually got to be able to have a pathway to. So I want to talk to that. What is something that if somebody walks to you and we're sitting down at this, we're at this ping pong bar and you're humbled and you're sitting there chilling, and someone walks up and goes, hey, JoJo, I'm battling with some stuff, man. I'm in this dark place. Man, what are 3 things I could do to be able to get out of this funky spot?
Yes, thank you for asking this. The first thing I would tell them is a miracle is nothing more than just a shift in perspective. And that when we see life happening to us, we innately fall into this victim, this lack mentality where there's never enough and we get caught in like the temperance of life. Rather than the shift in perspective is life is happening not to me but for me.
Yep.
What is this trying to teach me? How can I learn? How can I grow from this? And that perspective alone has helped me grow and expand in ways I could have never imagined, just by perceiving all of life as happening for me rather than to me.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is, you can only love somebody or something to the capacity that you love yourself. And what I mean by that, and I don't mean this egoic love of, boasting myself up with all these material things in my world. I drive this car, that's how I love myself. I have this house, that's how I love myself. No, but like the love for yourself with that seemingly like that voice in your head, like the judgment and then like the peace, or like the anger and the joy, and like how you're in relationship with yourself in your own head is the most important relationship of your entire life. Because every external relationship is a reflection of that internal relationship. And I've recently found out that for me, my anxious avoidant attachment style in like a romantic relationship, it doesn't matter who the person is. Like I'm in that relationship with myself. And as long as I have that attachment style with that deep, vulnerable part of myself that doesn't feel safe to be fully expressed, I'm going to it's gonna feel like no relationship's gonna work.
Yeah, over and over again.
Right, and I thought it was their fault. It must not be the right girl. Oh, it might not be the right person. It might not be the right time. No, I'm not in a balanced, harmonious relationship with myself to where I can now expand who I'm in relationship with because I'm in a loving, secure relationship here.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. That's one I think all marriages, you're not married yet, but when you get to that point, it'll be a good one to have. I found that for me, when I am happy and she is happy, we come together happy. Which is kind of what you're talking about. When I'm in a centered place of love with myself, how I'm showing up for me, how I'm doing my things. This is gonna sound really weird when I say this. Part of the reason I don't cheat on my wife is not because I love my wife, it's because I love me.
Yes.
I do love her heavily, which is a big reason why I don't, right? But I don't want to fall out of love with myself and that harmonious peace you're talking to.
Yes.
I feel in that darkness, and then knowing I also did it this person I love, like it's crazy. But a big piece of it is that centered sense of self. And so I show up to this relationship joyous and happy so I can give. And also because she shows up with it, it's not extracting more than I have to give. And so 2 people in those places you're talking to, it allows a relationship to blossom in an amazing way that most people, that's unfortunate, don't get a chance to experience in life because they're not doing what you're talking about.
And it's interesting because we really just recreate the relationship dynamics we grew up witnessing.
True.
And then having the compassion to realize that the relationships we grew up witnessing did the same thing with their parents.
Exactly.
And they did the same thing with theirs and theirs and theirs. So when we see it from a holistic perspective, we're able to have grace and compassion for the things or the people that seemingly hurt us. And I can't grow in my relationship with my mom, dad, or siblings as long as I'm harboring resentment towards them.
Yeah.
And a big part of my journey has been healing that resentment within myself towards the people that care about me most, that have never tried to intentionally hurt me.
Yeah.
And learning how to have compassion for them, which is a reflection of the compassion I have for myself.
Yep. It all starts there, man.
It's all a circle.
It's an inside job, they say. It's literally what they call. It's great.
Yeah.
What's the third one? I cut you off before we got to 3.
Yeah.
So we have miracle is a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
And we also have you can only love the capacity you have of love for yourself.
And the third thing, somebody comes to me and says,
Go back to your heart. They're sitting there, yeah, before you go to your head, because I see you going to your head, come
yeah,
back to
you
the
see
heart.
that?
I come up to you, I'm sitting in this ping pong spot, and I sit down and go, dude, I'm in a dark place, I'm struggling. And you go, hey man, a miracle is a shift in perspective. To be honest, man, you gotta love yourself to a depth. That's the only way you're gonna love somebody else. What's the next thing I need?
I would say the easiest, okay. So I would go into the concept of, well, if you want to change, right? You want to change.
See, I
So
do.
do you act your way into a new way of thinking, or do you think your way into a new way of acting? And then, from my experience, they're one and the same, and they're both. And learning when to just go for it. Like you heard my dad talk earlier, like he doesn't even like the cold plunge, but he does it
Yeah.
because he acts his way into a new way of thinking. It's why we love doing hard things. It creates this physiological response, but it also gets us out of our head where we're just in the flow of doing something and we're literally acting our way into a new way of thinking. But then there's also points in life where it's more advantageous to think your way into a new way of acting. And I just think finding the balance of that and just realizing that like everything we consume is what we become.
Yeah.
Like what you are, what you eat. Like we heard that as kids, but like that's true.
Yeah.
And then what about all the content that I can roll over right before I go to bed and I can scroll on Instagram or Twitter and I can have access to seemingly an infinite amount of information. Right before bed and right when I wake up, when my brain's in theta frequency where it can most easily download new information. And here I am filling it with a surplus of meaningless things. So if you want to change your life, I would say one of the best ways to start is start with affirmations before, as you go to bed and when you wake up. And for me, that has been the number one way to just help like rewire that negative, pessimistic voice in my head that still exists, but just is less loud and has less control and less reign over this ship because I'm literally consuming higher positive vibrations with things that align with who I truly am and who I want to be. And that has been a beautiful just addition to my routine in a way that I show self-love for myself.
Yeah, man. It's a good way. It's well stated. I think there is a part of, like I tell people that the voice is always going to be there. It's going to exist. But just like a room of humans, the loudest voice gets heard.
Yeah.
So if I quiet that voice, while it still exists, I'm going to listen to it. If the positive one pops up, then it's going to be the one I listen to. Then also with the idea of what you put in, there's this thought I had a while back of like imagine a pond. You ever been to like ponds where they seed the ponds with like, you know, fish eggs so they can have like the fish hatch and I can go and, you know, fish in the pond. And I go, our mind's kind of like that, right? Whatever fish you put in is what I'm going to catch and pull out. So if I'm seeding it with trash and stuff that's just funny or it's negative or it's just, you know, or it's like, even if it's abrasive or it's something that is detrimental or I don't want to say like, you know, we'll just say it's negative to certain people in humanity, right? I'm seeding it, man. And when I want to go extract something out, that's what comes out, right?
Yes.
So if you aren't aware of what goes in, you're going to end up having a poor catch later on. It's kind of the way I would say it. Thoroughly enjoyed this, bro. This has been a fun time. We're not completely done. So I love these three we've had. I asked this question to everybody, which you might know the question because you kind of heard it, but I want you to genuinely think about the human that you are, how you show up in the world, and we are all individuals walking through with billions of people, right? But where in your life is there a space where you can kind of stop and pause and look at it and go, the promise the Creator made to the world with me was this. So essentially the question is, what promise did God or the Creator make to the world when they created you?
Yeah. I think the promise he fulfilled to the world in and through creating me was the ability to feel it all. I think I'm here to feel it all. I don't think I'm on this earth to stay in this box or to run this race. I truly believe that I'm here to experience the vastness of this human experience and to put receive all of like the different schools of thought and feelings and avenues of being and living, from activities to belief systems, and allowing myself the gift of everything that's here, and believing that I deserve it and that I'm worthy of it and that I'm allowed to have it.
It's big.
Because it's nobody's fault, but I didn't grow up believing that. I feel like probably a lot of people can resonate with that. No, I have to be like this to live this life, to make an income, to provide, to then have a family, to then have a retirement, 401k, and then die, and then give it down. Like, it's just, we think so linearly, and I'm here to explore.
Yeah, feel it
all of it.
It's a good one, man. And the world needs more examples of that, because I think it's even harder now. I don't envy your generation coming up to an extent either, because when I grew up, I didn't have access to it all. I didn't know what I didn't know. And now we live in a world where I know what I don't have. Right. That makes it harder. Yeah. I have to do more work for myself and center my kids even tighter to the circle to be like, you don't need that thing. You don't need Jordans, you don't need the Louis Vuitton belt, like you don't need special bag, you don't need the jewelry, you don't need those things. You can have them, but don't feel you need them, because to not have them creates this hole where they have that feeling. And for me, it was worse because I was, foster care type stuff, so even more anchored down. But it's such a freedom beyond that. Yes. And so being an example of that is very helpful to the world, because I do believe that a lot of people don't. Not even I believe, I know. I have a lot of conversations with people, and I get those kind of feedbacks. Man, thoroughly enjoyed our time together. It's crazy how time flies, literally, when you're having fun with it all. If people want to follow the man that is you, where would I send them to go kind of pay attention to the world and how you function in it?
Man, well, talking about the gift that I am of expressing it all, I want to create more and share more on social platforms, right? We live in an age where
it's voyeuristic. They want to know everything.
Right. And everyone has a voice, and just like feeling worthy of that voice, and like this even right now being like a step in that direction of like, I was apprehensive to come here. I had training to do. I have all these things. Like, I want to be in my routine. Yeah. Like, do I really need to take 3 days out of my schedule, out of my life, to go talk about myself? And when I really sat with it, it was like, there's something to learn in Arizona with Anthony. Yeah. So even the fact that I feel called to, like, go follow me on Instagram is probably my main platform, but like, to even express myself more fully, like in this capacity right now, on there is something I desire to do, and it's it all comes down to choice.
Always
at the end of the day.
So if I chose to follow you, where would I go?
If you chose to follow me, you just type in JoJo Domann.
Yeah, 2 N's.
2 N's.
There you go.
No E in Joe.
There you go, JoJo.
Find me, and and just circle this all the way back. Yeah. You started this conversation by saying you seem like awfully, like, I started to wake up to these things outside of football, and now you're waking up to these things inside of football. Like, how is that? I would just attest that to that being part of my mission. Yeah. Of, I want to help build the bridge, to help educate and also help men in these NFL locker rooms learn about themselves, learn to be vulnerable, learn these different and deeper aspects of self that often get suppressed while we're in this warrior fight or flight mentality. And then when football's over, it's like, who am I? What do I do? And I believe that I'm sent here to help build that bridge in those locker rooms. So now this journey of football that begun all about me has now evolved to where now it's about source channeling through me for everyone and everything.
Yeah. An example, be a living example of it all.
Exactly.
I dig it. Like football Jesus.
Football Buddha.
That's a bad joke, right? Oh, man. Hey, thoroughly enjoy it. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Those of you guys who are tuned in, thank you so very much for spending time with us. Some of my fun takeaways. Early on, when he talked about living out of the fear of loss, I think a lot of us have those feelings where we're like, I don't want to lose this thing, and you live in this tightened space. It's kind of like they say, you don't want to play not to lose, you want to play to win. And when you play in that space not to lose, you end up sometimes losing, right? And I also love the thought of, he had a moment, he says, holy crap, it's really happening. You know, we talk to these moments of like the reality of the vision. And that's a beautiful moment because that means you're actually in a space of having earned what you sought. Not all of us can have that moment. So like if you work for it, and you do it properly, it can actually become a moment. And then to talk about the three things he spoke of, which is awesome, is a miracle, is someone's a shift in perspective. Because I think a shift in perspective gives you that aha moment, which actually creates some hope like, oh, maybe I can do it. So just seeing things differently. And sometimes it's an outside perspective. So be open to other people's perspectives that may give you a new one. And then you can only love at the capacity you love yourself, which is very true. Because if not, you find resentment sometimes. But if you love you, you can actually express and create more love. Because again, the world's a mirror. And then think and act and think. That cycle, I believe it is a cool circle. Like I do act to think, and then I've now acted to think a certain way. And this thinking creates new action, that creates new thought, and it keeps on cycling. And that's a beautiful space for maturity. So if you can do that, you'll be great. Make sure that if something in this episode stood out, that you go and, in fact, literally apply it to your life. Sometimes one simple thing becomes a change for a lifetime. But take that one thing, apply it to your life. I also would love for you to rate and review the podcast so more people can hear this. And if there's someone in your life that needs to hear any of the words we spoke, anything JoJo said, just go and share it with them. Hit the link, share it out to them. You never know how sometimes that one seed can blossom into a change of life that's massive and amazing. That's it. Outside of that, thank you again, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Trucks and JoJo Domann, signing off.
Yeah.